Today I'm eating lunch. Okay. I did not have one bite yet. I don't know how it'll taste, so. Little buggy. Where'd it go? Okay.
Destroying their culture because, like Canada, there's powers that want to remake. Destroying their culture because, like Canada, there's powers that want to remake us. As communist nations. So we're in the middle of destroying our political myths. But up till now, our political myths have been we're an independent country. We have we're a democracy, and we dealt with that earlier on. We have representative government. We elect people to represent our ridings. I debunked that myth. And that basically the federal government exercises executive power. Well, that's part of the political myth. And that even our government has power to spend money without the consent of the Governor General Council. And I put Section 54 of our Constitution, British North America Act, twice now, to show that it's actually illegal for our government, House of Commons, to pass a spending bill without the Governor General messaging them.
So what you've expressed here today, right now, what ramifications, implications would this have around the Alberta independence movement?
Oh, you see, that's just a wonderful question because really the question then is how can a province, secede from Canada under our parliamentary structure? Because our Constitution doesn't really allow for that. So, when Quebec was wanting to secede, or at least they were holding referendums on that, the federal government actually did a reference to the Supreme Court saying, how does the province do this? Now, remember, we have political theater, but our Supreme Court, which, likely would feel bound to follow its own decision, although it doesn't have to, basically said, listen, if you have a sizable majority voting in a province to secede in a fair process, then that would create a moral obligation, because we don't have any legal obligation. That would create a moral obligation on Canada to negotiate in good faith. Now, who's Canada in this situation? Because the king owns our land. And the Governor General is the king. The executive is vested in the king, which is exercised by the Governor General with the advice and consent of the Privy Council office federally, not even with the federal cabinet, although the federal cabinet is part of the Privy Council
Hey,
office.
Liam Costello, CAH.
So who is it that negotiates? And Nadine, the real...
You've been here before, right? I feel like I've seen your name before.
Question is, at the end of the day, will the king suffer Alberta leaving? But, the fun part is that, I don't think that Quebec could possibly support Canada, using armed forces to keep a province like Alberta
Welcome
in the
back.
Dominion.
How you
Because
doing?
the province of Quebec would be looking over its shoulder going, well, I don't want to create a precedent for, if we decide to leave, right? So, but I don't think anyone really knows the answer. What does this look like if, a sizable majority in one of the king's provinces in the Dominion of Canada vote to leave the Dominion? What does that look like? We're in total uncharted territory.
Mm-hmm. And this is I think the point that we've been trying to make, in particular, myself and Bruce Party, is that we are in uncharted territory. But I think the referendum and a vote, yes, I think is so almost essential at this stage, if for no other reason than exploratory reasons, so that we can get to the depths and the inner understanding workings of, exposing the...
Where are you from? Oh my gosh, this tastes so good today. I put lots of chili powder.
Truth about our government right now. Like, could you imagine? Like, and I think this is why there's so much pushback on this from the East, because this will literally blow the lid off of much of what we're talking about today. Because much of this would have to come out. Well,
I mean, the East has a huge financial incentive. It's funny.
USA.
I was visiting, and he was sharing with me an American financial commentator who has.
I find it interesting. I live in Canada, and there's this YouTuber, Nadine Wellwood. Is that right? Nadine Wellwood, yeah. She's a Métis woman, I think, living in Alberta. And she has a guest on who's talking about just like how Canada's like a monarchy, but not a monarchy, but they are a monarchy. They think they're not. And yeah, they're talking about points I never thought of before, like how we have like a foreign king in Canada, and yeah, it's really interesting to me, the separation stuff.
Recently just basically come out and said, the province of Saskatchewan should be as rich as Dubai. They only have 1.1 million people. They have oil like Alberta. Most Canadians think Alberta. No, Saskatchewan's got tons of it. Saskatchewan has uranium. Saskatchewan has potash. And Saskatchewan has agriculture. It should be much richer than Alberta. So why is there poverty in Saskatchewan? And well, it's because the money is siphoned off to the east. And with Alberta, the money is siphoned off to the east.
Or it's left in the ground.
Could Quebec and Ontario continue to function the way they're functioning without the money taken from central Canada? I won't say the West because we're not speaking of BC. So I mean, it's likely that they can't. I mean, so politically, the East has no choice, and certainly the East will be getting directed by His Majesty, I would expect, to do all that they can to quash this rebellion. I mean, it's basically a proposed peaceful insurrection. How can you call it anything else from the perspective of the King and the national government?
Now, let's bring in. I want to bring in the Indigenous here, because as you and I have alluded, there was a ruling in BC in which it wasn't even the province. This was federal this time around. That Richmond, I do believe Burnaby, and all of Vancouver. So the Vancouver metro area is now being handed over the property, the land, upsetting potentially 2 million property
owners. This is interesting too with British Columbia.
The Mesquite tribe. So this is an undrift.
They're handing land over.
The province did their own damage, I think, with the Richmond ruling that came through the provincial courts through DRIPA, right? They made that, but now we have the federal government that has handed over more property, substantially more property, to the Mesquite tribe.
Yeah. So Nadine, I find this very interesting, and it's just, I mean, I'm firmly of the opinion that that Canada is under a deliberate creative destruction. And so there's several elements to that. But you basically have to completely undermine the foundations of a nation if you want to rebuild it in a different image. And that almost everything that's happening around us can be explained this way. And this is part of it. So when you talk about UNDRIP, you're talking about the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And this is a treaty. And that the federal government signed. Now, everyone can get a copy of this treaty. And there's lots written on this treaty. But basically, this treaty obligates countries that sign this treaty to vest property into the ownership of the Indigenous people that preceded European colonization. And it's funny that we even use the word colonization because all of history is one people coming and displacing another. And the Indigenous tribes would have done that too, including to each other. And yet, we're going to go back in time and figure out who had it before them. So, Canada, without telling people what this treaty says, and without telling people that, well, it obligates us to basically transfer ownership, especially of unceded territory,
what does that mean?
To Indigenous people. But it's not just unceded territory. That's just the BC decision. It was unceded territory. So where I live, we've got Treaty 6. It's ceded. So I have no doubt that eventually, because this is all by design, if we allow it to keep happening, then the next step legally is for the courts to say, well, okay, unceded territory, that the natives or the Indigenous people, I mean, they have the property and they own it. But with the ceded territory, they were really duped. They didn't understand our legal structure. They didn't understand what they were giving up. They didn't even have that conception of ownership. So these are invalid treaties. And because they're invalid treaties, then really all of Canada is unceded land. And we're going to follow this UN treaty that we've signed and vest ownership. So it's really the king transferring ownership from himself to Indigenous tribes. Now, I expect at the end of the day, the king still is somehow vested. But let's say it does all go to the Indigenous tribes. What sane government in Canada has the authority? So if we assume that, elected governments, and I've already indicated to you that's an absolute fraud farce anyway, but what government would possibly do that, let alone do it without a public debate? And it's not by accident. So here we've got the Liberal government basically giving the Lower Mainland to a band with my understanding is less than 2,000 members.
Pat K 2797 LeBron who?
And Canadian finances.
LeBron?
Because the legal fallout from that will be is you won't be able to refinance your property or get a mortgage. And you don't even know now what that band is going to do. They're going to kick you out. Are they going to lease the property to you? I mean, what does this look like? Can you imagine? I mean, the commercial properties. What is this going to do to destabilize Canada? Like, who knows? And so how does this happen without a public debate?
And to make matters worse on this particular one, the government will not even release the agreement So the terms to which, they have agreed so that people can see it for themselves.
Well, not yet. So, surely we're going to get a copy of the agreement. So, but it's just, how do you do that? So, let's say you accept that. I mean, we took over Canada. I mean, but even that history, like to assume that there wasn't cooperation and consent, and it's not like the Aboriginals did.
What I like about having leftovers is Lucia plays. Hello, welcome. Yolanda Strickland. Hello. Oh, you're barnacles. Okay. Hello. How are your streams going? Or did you do any more streams? Are you noticing channel growth? Oh yeah, so what I like about having leftovers is now I know I have a meal for later. Yes. And I don't have to make it. I can just eat it immediately. It takes 30 minutes just to boil the potatoes, so it's like, and then I prepare everything while those are boiling. Like I'll boil the eggs, get all the oil, vinegar, spices, beans all ready together.
Want the technology. Like, I mean, we basically rewrite history for this narrative.
Now I can have
when history is multifaceted and it doesn't conform to just a single narrative. But let's say you even assume, oh no, this was awful.
My green tea.
Exploited. Well, how do you solve this by saying, no, there's no property rights, or do you compensate some other way? Like, I have difficulty viewing this because, so you've got a band of 2,000 people. And let's say you're saying, well, what we did was awful. We don't destabilize an entire province and perhaps an entire nation financially. Do you not just compensate those 2,000 people and come up with some agreement that is like really generous and fair?
Well, I guess to go back further than that, though, because I mean, here in Alberta, we do have supposedly signed treaties, but now you're setting a very dangerous precedent. And to your point earlier, how far back do you have to go? Every nation has been conquered. Every nation is a mixture of different peoples at different times. How far back do you want to go? And so this is the problem I have with a lot of these treaties is, we keep throwing money at the problem. Well, money is not the answer. It's not the solution. But yet that seems to be what we do. Give them more land, give them more resources, give them more money, to the point where Canada is going to basically be nothing but Indigenous people with Indigenous resources so turn us into a national park, because it seems to be this decline, the path at which we're on. That's exactly the path in which we're headed. And
turn
so
Alberta to a
to
national park. That'd be
right? Because it's not
interesting.
serving Canadians.
Well, remember I told you that the goal.
So what are your plans today, people? Myself, I am going to a friend's house, helping her clean her house so she can sell it. And yeah, that's all I know. I'm e-biking. What else do I know? I guess that's everything.
Is to turn us into a communist nation.
Today's Monday. Oh, maybe I should do a reaction thing. I was thinking of watching the Kill Tony show. I don't think Barnacles that you'd be allowed to watch it, to be honest. But anyway, that's not really the point. The point is I kind of want to do a reaction to the Kill Tony show. That'd be interesting.
Well, to do that, you have to take away property rights.
Exactly.
So under UNRIP, if the bands that end up owning the land can't administer, then my understanding is the UN can step in as the administrator. Now we have communism.
Canada,
Raids,
right now, in
what
my
are you
opinion,
saying
is...
here? Let's see here. Do you have a job? Mine is being a gunsmith. I do have a job, but I don't talk about it. Do you have a job? Mine's being a gunsmith. I'm gonna have to look that up because that is an old word to me. I'm guessing it has something to do with guns and caring for them. A gunsmith is a professional who repairs, modifies, designs, and builds firearms. Yeah. Interesting. You must have like a pretty good brain for I am single. Mechanics and other things. Yeah, Paul McDamus. Yes, I am single. A Euro-African. Is it normal in your country for one man to open the chocolate box of another man, even if they are not currently by the jail? What is that? You don't know. I don't know if that's a metaphor or if that is just like a funny phrase or if that is actually a thing somewhere. I'll ask Gemini. Someone's proposing a question, and it is it normal in your country for one man to open the chocolate box of another man even if they are not currently by the jail? Does that mean anything?
There is no such custom or cultural norm in Canada. Opening another person's belongings, like a chocolate box, without permission is not considered appropriate, regardless of the location. It doesn't hold any special meaning.
It's kind of what I was thinking, is like, well, are they letting him open the box of chocolates, or is he just doing it himself? So, yeah. So, anyone has some plans today? I noticed there are 3 people watching and 2 likes. Oh, I'm trying to grow a Brett. I tried shaving it in a little bit today. A Brett shave is like, it goes down and then here. Oh, I should use a pen to like color it so I can shave it. But yeah, anyway, I don't know what I'm doing with it. Chocolate box is a word for, oh my gosh. Well, I don't know where you're going with that, but I don't know. I don't know.
Canada right now, in my opinion, is a one world order experiment. We are at the, I think we are the nation. You know, the Western, supposedly liberal, free world that is being used as, and I mean, people may think this is a little bit conspiratorial, but the reality is, all the facts, all the actions are pointing to that.
No, I mean, my expertise, aside from constitutional law, is in the area of food and drug regulation. And Nadine, I'm now firmly of the opinion that Canada has the most dangerous food supply of any nation in the world. So we have the most toxic food supply, and the food supply that is most devoid of nutrients. We used to be tied with the United States, but because of what Kennedy is doing south of the border, removing toxins and requiring basic nutrition in the foods, Canada now stands alone, in my opinion, as having the most toxic and dangerous food supply in the world.
And what nation would want their population to be sick? What nation would want their population to be broke? What nation would want their population to be ignorant? Because none of those things benefit the nation, the people. So you have to ask yourself, you know, I used to say, you know, God had a plan for human beings, you know, healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? The government also has a plan, and it's sick, broken, ignorant. And because it's about control, in my opinion. And how do you get to a one world, you know, and because it's about control, in my opinion. And how do you get to a one world, you know, governance and a communist state, especially where people were supposedly taught and raised to believe you were sovereign and free, and yet we just keep continually handing over, or the government just continually takes our liberties, our rights, and our freedoms. So with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about the $750,000 fine that was administered.
Oh, with Barry Neufeld.
Yes.
I'm curious what your thoughts on that are. And I'll give before maybe your thoughts. I'm just going to give the context, because everyone's heard Barry Neufeld, school trustee, fined $750,000 by a human rights tribunal for basically, you know, questioning as a school trustee.
For sure.
This gender ideology.
Yeah, I don't know. The LGBT community is, I think it's more like a new form of feminism, but it's not about women's rights. And it's some other thing that's happening. I'm not sure what, but it's yeah, it's some offshoot of feminism now. It's not about homosexual men or even homosexual women. It's about, I don't know, but it's just the supports aren't really there. I think it's almost like Santa Claus Christmas, where they what was the reference I was going to make? Something about relating like they go, oh well, Santa Claus and the presents, it's all for the kids. It's like, well, it's still a lie and a deception. If you're still telling children, oh yeah, Santa Claus is coming, that's still a lie. That's for the adult. And so LGBT rights or support systems now seem to be like, oh, it's for the kids. It's like, is this supposed to be for the kids? I thought it was supposed to be for just like information and then supporting adults and like answering questions as they arise. And that's like the school system's duty and the parents' duty. I don't know why these LGBT communities are now integrated. I don't know how much, like, a child needs support, but they don't need that much support when they're raised right. Like, usually a child that's well adjusted is kind of okay, still needs, questions answered and answered to the benefit of the child, but like, I don't think they need like these strangers being like, here, have these free appetizers at this banquet room next to a pub. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's some new world feminism. I'm not really sure what it is. All I know is I know a trans person. I'm really nice to him, and he's very rude. And I know this other trans person, and I'm really nice to him, and he's very rude. So far, to me, the trans community is very rude because that's all I have to work from, which is sad, but that's just my experience. But yeah, I do generalizations for sure. Not overgeneralizing, but generalizations of people for sure. I do that because I mean, we all come from families, and families tend to act, the same, different, or similar. And so, yeah, I can recognize if there are differences or not. And if there are similarities, then there are similarities. That's just not avoidable. And then they all get put in the same group. Whatever similarities they have, they're in that group. That's just a form of logic too, isn't it? Where it's like traits. Things. Oh, I should look at I have like a Logic for Dummies book. And it mentions something about, I can't remember, but something about when things share traits. Yeah, anyway, who's dying? Mei Uchiha 69 is dying? Why are you dying so much? Well, is anyone engaging in the chat, or are we wrapping this up? Because I'm not that interesting on my own. So if you have any comments, please mention your comment. Please comment your comment. I'm very warm from my tea. I can say that much. I should put my stuff in the refrigerator. Oh, 6-7 deep. Oh, 6-7. Autumn anxiety. That's funny. Autumn anxiety. I can see how there'd be autumn anxiety. Are you prepared for winter? Or is it like anxiety before autumn? Where it's like things are dying? Oh yeah. Mayucha 69 is saying dying. What a coincidence. Does anyone have any crazy dreams to talk about? I know I do. I had a crazy dream last night. It was so neat. It was awesome. I might do a reaction video stream tonight. I know how to do a stream. I think I just have to put my cell phone on Do Not Disturb so it doesn't show on my screen, but yeah, that might be fun. I don't know. Boo-doo, boo-boo-doo-doo. 4 people. Anyone? Plans today? Comments? Where are you from? Feel free to mention it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Actually, thank you for commenting because it gives me something to work with. So yeah, I'll do a sleep stream tonight. I'm thinking of doing a sleep stream at like 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I don't know if I'm doing that 100% because, well, sometimes things come up. But yeah, I'd like to do that. That's only like less than 6 hours from now, so why not? Okay, thank you for joining. I'll see you in the next stream. Bye.